Spoilers ahead for The Good Place, so don't complain about it from here on out. Or, ya basic.
In the words of one of my actual friends, you're basic. It's a human insult. It's devastating. You're devastated right now.
The Good Place is a fantasy sitcom that aired on NBC from 2016 to 2020. It followed a group of people after they died and their journey through the afterlife. The Good Place has become one of my favorite shows, not just because what other show can you see Ted Danson kick a puppy into the sun, but because of its themes of morals, ethics, and what it takes to be a good person. I think The Good Place has some of the best writing on TV. Not only did they craft compelling story arcs for every one of their main characters, but they knew exactly when to end the show. The Good Place is such a refreshing example of something we don't always see on TV, which is having the sense to give your audience a full sense of closure without unnecessarily dragging the show along into more seasons while exhausting the audience and trying to come up with more crazy shenanigans and plot lines, which become less and less compelling as the show moves forward. With choosing to end the show in the 4th season, they were able to give the audience perfect closure to every one of the characters' storylines. There are many aspects of The Good Place's writing that I could probably make full videos on and go in depth on those topics, but today I wanted to talk about how perfectly crafted I believe its ensemble cast of characters are. I think the show is so well written in sense of its characters, and a lot of other comedies love to create an ensemble group of very different characters and stick them together in situations. I believe The Good Place does an exceptional job of setting up an ensemble group while leaving room for the characters to complement each other in different ways that push the plot forward and also allow for the characters to grow and develop into the people that they will become at the end of the show. So let's dive deeper into why this is the case. One of the most interesting ways The Good Place wrote its group of characters can be seen in the way that they pair their characters together. Every single main character in The Good Place can complement any other character in different ways. And the ways that these characters can complement each other just make the overall plot of them trying to grow into better people a more compelling plot. Let's take a look of some of the more obvious examples of character foils in The Good Place. For instance, we have Chidi and Eleanor. Chidi and Eleanor are paired together at the beginning of The Good Place because Michael is trying to torture them. Michael knows that Eleanor and Chidi are very different and could be used as a device to make each other miserable. One, with Chidi's job being what seems like an impossible and exhausting task of trying to help Eleanor, and on Eleanor's end, she was going to have to deal with Chidi always in her ear, wanting her to make the right choices. Now, it's so well done that it perfectly makes sense that Chidi and Eleanor would be placed together to make each other miserable, but they're also perfect foils of each other and are able to help each other grow in different ways. For example, Eleanor is a person who doesn't think about the consequences of her actions or honestly really care about the consequences of her actions, while Chidi is a person who is constantly overthinking the consequences of his future actions to the point of his indecision stopping him from doing anything. In many ways, Chidi was inspired by Eleanor to follow his own gut and learn how to make decisions, while Eleanor was inspired and taught by Chidi to think about how her actions affect the people around her. Chidi helps Eleanor to care about other people, to care about being a good person, and to care about the consequences of her own actions, while Eleanor helps Chidi to follow his instincts and to actually be able to do an action. Because I believe Chidi's main character flaw on Earth was his inability to act because of his indecisiveness, and also his indecisiveness making everybody else around him miserable. We can also see direct foils in the characters of Tahani and Jason. Tahani is a character who did a lot of good things, but with bad intentions. We see how a lot of her motivations on Earth were very materialistic, and how she only wanted fame, recognition, and especially attention from her family members. Jason being the direct opposite, as he's somebody who has done bad things for good reasons. Jason is a character who makes a lot of impulsive and dumb decisions. Now, some people might rule Jason into the category of him just being so dumb and not caring about the consequences of his actions, but as the show goes on, we can see that Jason actually meant well with the decisions he was making. A lot of the bad things Jason does on Earth are done with good intentions, like helping out a friend. However, he never stopped to think about the consequences of some of the bad things that he was doing in terms of how they would affect other people. So Jason and Tahani were originally paired together in the good place to make each other miserable, with Jason being trapped in Tahani's very structured life, especially with his time as Jianyu, where not only was he trapped with Tahani in a structured environment, but he was not even supposed to speak in order to keep his real identity hidden. And Tahani being annoyed by being stuck with Jason, somebody who, because they can't even speak, was not giving her the attention that she was constantly seeking. But we also see how Jason and Tahani perfectly complement each other into helping each other grow. Jason inspires Tahani with his kindness. He shows her that she could be loved for the person she is, and it shouldn't matter about the attention, recognition, or fame, but wanting to become a better person, simply just to be a better person. While Tahani inspires Jason, giving him structure and helping him to not make such impulsive actions which could lead to stupid decision making. Aside from these obvious foils, we also see how these characters work well when written in different pairings. For example, Tahani and Eleanor work well in the concept of making each other miserable, because Tahani can be jealous of the attention that Eleanor gets when they first get to the good place, as Eleanor is the best person, while Eleanor can be insecure around Tahani, thinking that Tahani was actually meant to be in the good place, and all the stuff that Tahani's done makes Eleanor feel insecure and wanting to drag Tahani down to her level. So even though these characters are perfectly designed to get on each other's nerves, we see how their similarities in their insecurities help them to grow and become supportive and better friends in the future. Aside from this, we see how Janet and Michael are so perfectly written into the ensemble of the group. Michael being what we think at first is a protagonist, and then the characters actually coming to find out that he is an antagonist put there to torture them, who then later on in the show will become a protagonist due to his interactions with the other characters. And Michael's interactions with the other characters, I think, are so interesting. For example, when he's paired with Eleanor. I think scenes with Michael and Eleanor are so interesting because Michael and Eleanor are very similar. Both Michael and Eleanor at the start of their character arcs don't really care about other people. Michael only cares about being a good bad place architect and torturing humans, but then he'll eventually become fascinated with humans, and because of the kindness and support from the humans, will eventually become friends with them, and they will support him on his journey into becoming a better person and becoming a real person at that. But I think early on scenes with Michael and Eleanor are so interesting because Eleanor can see a lot of herself in Michael. Eleanor really notices this more in season 2 when Michael kind of becomes a part of the group, as the group decides to help Michael out in turn for him helping them get to the good place. And while the group tries to teach Michael how to become a better person, there's a part in an episode where Eleanor tells Michael that he is, quote unquote, pulling an Eleanor. I think Michael, in his complete disregard to the way other people feel and the consequences of his own actions, is very similar to the way that Eleanor used to disregard people and not care about the consequences of her actions. The reason why Eleanor can be so supportive of Michael is because she sees herself in him. And as she has decided to take this journey into becoming a better person, and she has seen some growth in herself, she knows that it's possible for someone like Michael, who is essentially a demon, to grow and to become better and to want to become better. I think it is that kind of support from Eleanor that really helps to push Michael in his character development, as if him and Eleanor are so alike, and she can change, and how he has watched her change to at least wanting to do better and to be better, then so can he also, which is such an interesting dynamic within the show. I think we can also compare Michael and Janet's growth in similar ways. Whereas they're not really people at the start of the show, you know, Janet is not a girl.
Not a robot. Girl. Not a girl.
But they both have similar character development. Whereas Michael is a demon who doesn't care about the feelings of others, Janet is simply a being who is put there to serve others. But as Janet keeps getting rebooted, she starts to learn and grow because of the kindness showed to her by the other characters in the ensemble. For instance, in season 2, Jason is one of the only people that is actually outwardly nice to Janet, treating her like a person instead of this being that she is, not a robot, not a girl. I think this, along with Janet's many reboots, is what helps her to slowly realize and connect with the humans on a more human level. As she becomes actual friends with them and actually starts to care about what happens to them, she becomes more human-like, very much like Michael becomes more human-like as he starts to be more invested in the humans and to become actual friends with them. The reason why the Good Place ensemble works so well is because you can take any two characters and pair them together, and those two characters will eventually, over time, help each other grow into becoming better people. We see how Chidi is a person who made everybody around him suffer with his indecisiveness, grow and learn from the people around him, where he is a person who essentially decides and creates what the new version of the afterlife is going to look like. And that's something season 1 Chidi could never have done without the help of the other characters guiding him and supporting him along the way. At the end of the day, each character in the ensemble will become better people while still maintaining their same qualities in who they are to their core. It is with the help of each other character in the ensemble that inspires each of the different characters on their journey to grow and to become better people. You couldn't have the Good Place with one of these characters missing, as they're all integral in helping each other on their journey in their character development. Just simply no one else out there was doing it like the Good Place was at the time when the show was airing. Because while we have these very funny opposite characters with very quirky personalities that are fun to see in different scenarios, like having somebody as dumb and as goofy as Jason be in scenes with somebody like Janet who has all the knowledge of the universe, it's really funny in a comedy sense to see them interact. It's really funny to see those pairings, like an Eleanor interacting with somebody who's her opposite, like a Chidi, or even like a Tahani. Not only does The Good Place get this right as a comedy, where I think there are a lot of great ensemble comedy shows that do this and are able to pair different characters with different personalities together for the comedy of it all. But I think what The Good Place does exceptionally well and goes above and beyond in doing is pairing characters that are set to support each other, to rub off on each other, and to inspire each other to be better people at the end of the day. Because none of these characters would end up in the spot that they were if a single one of them was not in the ensemble. They're all so important to each other's growth. And I think one of the main points of The Good Place is the growth of each one of these characters. It's what makes the show so interesting. In the way that The Good Place sets up characters that are so different from each other, but also characters that can find similarities within their personalities, and the way that these similarities and differences are meant to help each other grow. Truly, nobody is doing it like them, and there's so much more I could talk about The Good Place. I just wanted to come on and specifically make some points about why I love the way that they set up their ensemble, because honestly, it's been a long time since we got a really great ensemble comedy show in which the writing is so on point in the way that the characters are meant to shape each other. And I know there are a few other shows out there that do have really great ensembles, but I just wanted to specifically point out The Good Place because I think The Good Place just does it so exceptionally well. So what other shows do you think the ensembles are written exceptionally well, or what do you specifically like about the way that The Good Place wrote its ensemble in something that I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments and maybe I'll talk about it in a later video, but that's all I have for you today.
Time means nothing. Jeremy, bear me, baby. We'll get through this, and then you and I can chill out in the dot of the eye forever.
I'll say this to you, my friend, with all the love in my heart and all the wisdom of the universe. Take it sleazy.
All in all, I'm thinking this video might end up being a little bit shorter than I usually put out. I thought it might be interesting to look into a very specific topic and to keep the video more concise than having a longer, more drawn out video essay style video. Although I do have plans of doing more video essays, but they're just taking me a little bit longer to do. So I thought it might be a little bit of a fun breather on this channel, but I'm not sure how this video is going to turn out. So if you like this style of video, be sure to give this video a like, click on my channel, look through some of my other videos, watch some of them if they interest you. And if you liked some of my other videos, then you should probably subscribe to my channel. So thank you for sticking with me as I try out different things on this channel. I want to make sure that the stuff I'm putting out is at least entertaining and interesting to the people that are watching me. So let me know in the comments what kind of stuff that you like the most from me and what other stuff that you might want to see me talk about in the future. But that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.